call the meeting to order at 10:03 and open ourselves up for public comment.
I'll pass.
Colleen, do you have any public comment, Colleen? No. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have our minutes for December 2025, our financial report for 2025 and financial report for December, and then our financial report for January 2025.
Typo, should be 26.
Yes.
Sorry. That's what happens when you copy and paste too much. Apologies.
Well, the statements themselves are correct.
Yes, yeah.
Do we have any public comments on the minutes or the financial report? Any comments from the board? Is there a motion on the table?
I move we approve. Not second.
Second. Motion passes. Excuse me?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. That's what happens when you skip a couple meetings. We'll move on to our presentations, which we're lucky to have Michelle Meyer here from MST, and I will let you take the floor from here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Michelle Obermeyer with Monterey Salinas Transit. My team at MST oversees the routes and schedules and grants and legislative affairs and community partnerships, so we deal with a lot. And I'm here to give you an update on a planning study that we're doing in the city of Salinas. So there's a copy of a PowerPoint in front of you, and I'll walk through this with you. I guess I'll back up and say that for those of you not familiar with MST, we're the public transit operator in Salinas and the whole county. And Salinas is our highest ridership area. The source of our most riders is the city. So we've been trying to do a study in this area for a while. We finally were able to get a grant from Caltrans to study this, and we will be getting funding from Taylor Farms and from the city of Salinas as local match, which was a requirement of the grant. So those are our partners in this study. So page 2 of this slide deck here shows our service area. The map on the left is the regional map. We go all the way up to Gilroy, down to Paso Robles, into Santa Cruz, and then service all throughout Monterey County. On the right side, you'll see the service that we provide within the city of Salinas. The Alisal corridor is our heaviest usage area, and then also along North Main Street. So those areas we provide service every 15 minutes because there's so much demand. Slide 3 is our regional vision for connecting the whole county. We don't have carpool lanes in Monterey County, I'm sure you all know that. So the bus is stuck in the same traffic as mixed flow cars. So we're looking at ways to speed up our performance and stay on schedule so that we're reliable for the people that need it to get to school and to jobs on time. We started our investments on the peninsula with the Jazz project, and that opened in 2012. So we did signal coordination, transit priority at certain signals. We have a queue jump lane in front of Monterey Peninsula College. And that Jazz corridor goes to Sand City. And then from there we have the SURF project, which is under construction right now. So that will be a dedicated bypass to Highway 1 just for buses. TAMC did the multimodal corridor with the roundabouts on Imgen. And then now we're focusing on Salinas. So the Alisal community, the Alisal and Williams corridor. Like I said, we have 15-minute service and we're stuck in traffic and we can't stay on schedule. And then ultimately, our long-term vision is to have faster service between King City and Salinas. We actually have a lot of people from South County that need to get up to the city here. And it takes a long time on the bus. So long-term, we're looking for improvements there along Highway 101. So slide 4 shows our project schedule for this planning study. Like I said, it was a Caltrans planning grant. We kicked off last summer, and we have a consultant, Kinley Horn, that's under contract. They are working with Ecology Action to help with the community outreach for this. We have a technical advisory committee, or a TAC, that's helping guide this study through the process. And our technical advisory committee is made up of TMC, Greg represents your association, the city of Salinas, and Caltrans are all part of this technical working group. So far, we've had 2 meetings of this technical working group. And we have completed our first round of outreach that ended in December. And so now we're looking at refining some of these general concepts, and the consultant will be preparing some draft designs that will be ready for public review later this spring or early summer. We'll have a couple more technical advisory committee meetings before we have a final plan later this fall. The study goals start on slide 5, page 5. I'm not going to read all of these, but high level, we want to improve our transit service. We can't stay on schedule along this corridor, and so people are missing their connections when they come to the Salinas Transit Center and need to change buses. And that's a problem, because then you have to wait a while for your next bus. When you're trying to get to work on time, that could be the end of a job, right, if you're not there on time. So we need to improve our service. We're a partner with the city in helping reduce traffic congestion and parking issues. So if we can make transit faster and more appealing, some people might choose to take the bus. So we'd like to increase ridership, especially as the city's developing out east. Barden Ranch is already, the developer has reached out to us. They're looking at developing out there. So more people coming to the city, more traffic. And then we want to enhance our connection with the CERC line. So right now, line 20 connects Salinas to Monterey. It'll be able to use the bypass to skip the Highway 1 traffic. And we want to have that connect with the routes that are serving Salinas, so there's that seamless transfer for individuals. Slide 6, these are more high-level goals. We want to help the cities with their improved emergency response times. And then Vision Zero, I'm finding that some people don't know what that is. So for those of you that don't know, the Vision Zero policy is an aspirational goal to reduce fatalities, pedestrian and cyclist fatalities, to 0. Right? Nobody should be getting killed from accidents. So improving transit can support that Vision Zero policy, as public transit is the safest form of surface transportation. Slide 7 shows the outreach that happened in the first round in the fall. We mailed over 6,300 postcards to residents and businesses within a quarter mile of our study area, which is downtown the Salinas Transit Center to Williams and Barden. We had 7 pop-up events, 3 presentations. We engaged with over 400 people in person. And then we had a public survey that had 360 responses. Slide 8 just shows some pictures of that outreach that we did and the site visit that happened with the Technical Advisory Committee in September. And then page 9 is where we'll start talking about the transit center. It's just a couple of blocks right there. So page 10, you can see the map of our current facility. We have 9 gates or parking spaces for the buses, and 19 bus routes have to fight for those 9 spaces. We're over capacity. We've been in this location since the 1980s. The city has grown, the demand has grown, but our space has not. We're pretty confined there. It was the only public restroom downtown. I'm told City Hall has a public restroom. I don't know if it's open all hours of operation for businesses downtown, but this is a pretty popular public restroom for downtown, and there's only one. Slide 11 is some information on the usage at the transit center. We're seeing over 3,400 people on an average weekday pass through that transit center, which is a huge number. A boarding is somebody getting on the bus, and a lighting means somebody is getting off of the bus. The busiest time is the afternoon between 3 and 4. And if you're down there and watching, you'll see people running between buses. The Cal State Monterey Bay bus comes in, Rancho Cielo bus comes in, and people are running to get to line 23 if they live in South County. So that's an important connection, especially for students. Slide 12 has more information about the bus utilization. I don't think I'm going to go into too much detail there. Slide 13 is some results from that community survey that we did. So we asked people what would they like to see in a new transit center in downtown Salinas. Public restrooms was number one. Most of the respondents use that transit center at least a few times a week for school, shopping, medical appointments. And then a good amount of them walk to the transit center, which is an important piece of information, because as we talk about relocating, some people are going to have to walk farther than they currently do. Slide 14 shows the 3 locations that we're looking at for moving the transit center. MST doesn't own any property downtown, so this one's a bit tricky. So we started with 5 locations that we looked at. We've narrowed it down to these 3 that we're advancing. The first one is the Salinas Intermodal Transportation Center with train station. B is a parking lot that's across the street from the post office.
That's how,
What was that?
I think Taylor Farms now is getting it.
Negative.
No?
No, it's a county lot, or a city lot that the county uses.
Right, yeah.
I
City.
thought you had something I didn't know.
And then, and then the third location is private property on John Street. There's a Chase Bank and the old Starbucks. So those are 3 that are advancing in the feasibility of relocating our transit center. The next section of this presentation talks about the corridor we're looking at, so actually operating buses between the transit center and where our ridership is in the LaSalle community. On slide 16, you can see the results of who took the survey, where they live, in comparison to our study corridor there. Most of our riders walk or ride their bike to a bus stop, and 77% live or work near the corridor. So again, there were 360 people that took that survey. Page 17 shows our highest ridership areas. We're consistently seeing over 50 people a day boarding at these key stops along East LaSalle and Williams Road. So again, it's the bus service is heavily used in this corridor. Page 18 is just showing that we're carrying on average 300 people a day through that corridor. I'm trying to run through this fast, taking up a lot of your time. Slide 19 has some response information from the survey. So what would encourage people to take transit more or make their current trip better? And we consistently hear from people that it's bus operations. So they want more buses, the bus come more often, so they have more choices, and they want it to be on time. Slide 20. What are the top 3 mobility priorities along the LaSalle and Williams corridor for you? People want faster, more reliable service, and then they want comfortable ways to move along the corridor while they're walking or riding their bike. So better sidewalks is a key. So
That's
21.
throughout the whole city.
Page 21, there's a key map in the bottom left, and this shows how we've broken up the corridor. We're looking at 3 segments. Segment 1 is Front Street to Highway 101. Segment 2 is Highway 101 to Williams Road.
And then segment 3 is Williams Road from East LaSalle to Barden. So looking at the right-of-way that the city owns, how can we repurpose, reallocate uses in those 3 segments? So we presented options to the public. You know, our preference is having dedicated bus-only lanes so that we're not stuck in traffic. So the options were side-running bus lanes with a separated bike lane, travel lane, and then a turn lane. There was another option with center-running bus lanes, so the buses would go in the median. And then another option is to just go with basically existing mixed flow traffic and then do some enhancements where we can. Queue jumps like we have in Monterey, improve the signal equipment, signal timing, so that more flow gets through those intersections. So in the 3 segments, the public preferred the side running bus lanes. And so we're gonna be advancing that into concept designs. And then we're also going to look at existing conditions with some enhancements. We're not moving forward the center running bus lanes for operational reasons. It just doesn't work for us. Slide 22 shows where we are in the process. So with the corridor piece, we started with different cross sections to look at. We're advancing 2 alternatives per segment. Again, side running dedicated bus lanes and then existing conditions with some transit enhancements. Our consultant is now working on those design concepts, and we'll have those ready for the public to review in the spring or summer. And then we'll be looking at cost. How, you know, what's the cost for these improvements? And then for the transit center relocation, we started with 5 locations around downtown. I mentioned the 3 that we're advancing. They are preparing sketches right now, and those will be ready for public review in the spring or summer. And then again, the cost, how much is it to move, to purchase land, to construct, what's needed. So that'll come later this year. And then slide 23, again, shows another layout of the schedule. So we'll have the final study done by this fall so that we can meet the requirements of the grant. And my contact information is on the last page. On the very front page, there's a QR code, and we're that takes you to the project webpage. And we're loading documents as they become available, so you can use that as a resource. A lot of detail. I'm happy to answer questions now, or you can follow up with me directly afterwards.
Any other questions?
Thank you for the information. This is certainly very informative and great resource for us to better understand and track the process. I'm just wondering, what can Salinas City Center do in support of this or in anticipation of future changes?
Well, Greg has been on the technical advisory committee, so he's helping advise as we work through some of this. One of the things I see that could come up, you know, the intermodal station seems to be rising to the preference for most people. It has the most space of the 3 that we're looking at. There are challenges with Market Street. If you've ever parked there and walked across Market, it's pretty scary. And so, you know, you think of teenagers that are riding the bus, how are we gonna make Market Street more comfortable? So I think if the city center can help.
Peter Cassavant has a great plan already in place for that. Yeah,
So any support for pedestrian improvements that will better link the downtown to the transit center would be great.
Which is one of our goals as a group anyway, to better connect with some of these outlying areas. So it dovetails into what we're wanting to do, or needing to do.
That's great, thank you.
Maybe a pedestrian overpass. As opposed to Peters,
It would be the least cost.
the least costly.
But compared to what you're showing.
Yeah, I worry about Peters because I think the logistics are really difficult, but an overpass, I've seen that in a lot of cities.
Caltrans is moving away from doing a lot of this. as a general rule, unless it's like impossible, but they try not to, they're knocking them down left and right, all the old ones. So,
The overpasses?
like the pet passes, because they're usually.
We've never had one.
No, I
We've
know.
never had one.
Correct.
Do they know why they're taking those down?
I think a lot of it's been public safety issues and vandalism, damage, things like that. Am I?
I don't know. I know that it is, as a pedestrian, you have to move farther. You know, it takes more effort to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of
And
in the
then you
middle
need
of
an
nowhere.
elevator too.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
that's
people
right.
that it all has to be stair accessible.
And lacks the community feel of some of the other checkboxes you saw in here, of coffee shops close by, covered areas to wait, lacks a lot of that opportunity.
But the ITC needs a lot of development.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, down the road with the trains, when the trains do get up and running, I may not live to see it, but when it does happen, it seems like it would be really efficient to connect
Yeah.
all of the services. Just my 2 bits.
I'm on that.
Yeah.
Are sites B and C, are they really even feasible? I mean, I'm looking at, based on like the need to expand that modal center and add some of the bus parking area. I mean, I just don't see either of those working out, but maybe you have some insights.
Yeah, so we did a site analysis, a space needs analysis, and the current location is 0.75 acres, and all 3 of these locations are bigger than an acre.
Okay.
The 2 other sites, actually I think all 3, would require some on-street bus bays. But there's trade-offs, like I said, you know, people don't like change, and it's gonna be different whichever option it is.
Mhm. And then is C privately owned, or is that
Yeah.
private?
And you probably need to suck up a bunch of parking lot from the banks too. They'd have to give you a chunk of that.
It would be the Chase Bank and the Starbucks property, yeah.
Gig.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any public comment on that one? No, I mean, we did the board comments. Public comment? Cool.
There's no report from me and no report from the treasurer. I'll let you go.
I got a few small
Mr.
things.
District Coordinator.
So we've been part of the First Friday movement, I guess. And I don't know if you guys have been down here for the First Fridays, but it's very busy. It's a lot of traffic, a lot of people, a lot of stuff. The Arts Council is bringing in a lot of temporary booths. There's been some struggles is not the right word, but there's been some businesses that are questioning the location and the setup in some of these booths, but we're working with the Arts Council to help mitigate that. You know, small things like don't put a accessories and jewelry thing across from a ladies' clothing store, or don't sell homemade bread across from Sweet Reba's, you know, things like that. So little things where that's just a movement. Like you just have to take this person, put him over here, put that, you know, kind of switch them around. So there's some of that going on, but there's lots of bands, lots of music, lots of art. Seems to be a lot of fun. Or it is a lot of fun.
When is the next one? Is it March 6th?
March 6th, yeah. Let's see, I'm currently working on the annual report. I'm doing all the updates, and I should have that ready for you guys to review it in March, so we can vote on it in April, so we're clear with our city requirements. We received a check from the Harding Foundation for the second part of one of the grants that we've received, and it's a $25,000 check, so that's inbound. And other than that, that's kind of it from stuff other than DISI stuff. So, but I'll wait for DISI until we're there.
Any public,
So on that grant, what can that money be used for?
It's general operational for our programs.
So Hardin already denied us for
Yeah.
once.
No, I realize like on the parking thing, yeah,
Yeah.
that's not really what I'm getting at, I'm just curious, but.
But it's mostly supporting our programs, and most of that is actually going to be funneled into DISI, simply because that's where our public programs are. I mean, SOBO's funded, and so DISI would be the.
But if you have other projects or anybody else does, please share ideas or wants too, because they can certainly be looked at and diverted to different ways, for sure. Any other questions or comments, anything from the public?
You said the study is forthcoming on the number of participants at First Friday.
They
That you're gonna be
graded.
great.
Yeah.
That you're gonna be sending the study at a later date on. It sounds like it's successful, but just
Yeah.
on the numbers and all of that.
I don't actually have a lot of numbers. I think the Arts Council is tracking that. I can ask for that.
But you prepared data talking about the event and the impacts and what
Yeah.
downtown did. I think
Yeah.
that went out in an email too. Is that on our website?
Yeah, so I actually make I have a dedicated page on our website called First Fridays.
For First Friday.
For
Okay,
First
I'll
Fridays,
look at
and,
that.
and all the participants that I know are participating, because I don't get a list per se, because a lot of it is last minute, but any events that I know of, I put on this website. So, and our website, kind of jumping a little bit back and forth, but we're getting a lot of traction on our website, much more than our old one. But the First Friday page is, it's not the right way to, it's like my dumping ground. It's like, any event that I find, I put on that page for First Fridays.
And I was actually just speaking of the foot traffic for that part. It's there as well.
I don't
Or
have that
that's
yet.
what the Arts Council.
Yeah, I think they have a number of participants. Now, what I might be able to do is, I get quarterly updates from the city with pedestrian counts crossing Main and Alisal. And I usually put that in my annual report, but as a big lump sum. But I can see if I can break out the First Fridays versus non-First Fridays, and see if there's a big swing.
Just curious on that.
Yeah, no, that's, so once I get that data, because I don't, Q1 will be done March 30th, so I usually get it middle of April, and so I can pull some comparisons at that point and see what kind of difference that makes.
If nobody has anything else, we'll move on to our ad hoc committees. District identity and streetscapes.
All right, back to this. So we're still working on our design for 201 Main for the mural. We're not quite coalescing on the design proposals, I guess. So we're still working with the artist on that. We're getting a new set of we're getting a new set of banners installed on March 3rd for Salinas Valley Health. And during that time, I will also replace and hang all the 6-foot banners on all the big streets. The storms have done a number on them, so there's a lot of banners that came down. So I'll probably be putting up 20 or 30 banners that either blew down or I got replacements for. So that's going to be a lot. We're noticing that these events, I mean, we kind of already know this, but we know that these events are drawing people downtown. So don't get me wrong, I think like events like the parades or the Salinas Valley Food and Wine, if it's going to come back, those are great events. But that takes a lot of lifting, and it's for one day only. So I would like to do more smaller events that are just steady, that are not necessarily hundreds and hundreds of hours of man time or people hours, but just people know that every First Friday there's going to be X, Y, and Z there every single time, so they know it's going to become a staple. Or on Saturdays, I want to have, with the farmers market, I want to have those little pop-ups or little art displays or whatever, so people will always know it's there. So those little micro events, if you want to call it that, that brings an extra handful of people downtown, and it just becomes more exciting throughout the year as opposed to just one weekend in September or one weekend in August or whatever parades are in July with the rodeo. So smaller events is what I think is where it's at. That said, for Valentine's Day, we are, Salinas City Center is paying for a photo booth. For $500, we have a photographer come down. Actually, she's local, she's in your building. It's Kristen. Yeah, so she's great. So she's gonna set up a tent and have Valentine's Day decor. She's gonna be right at the arch. So, rain or shine, hopefully rain, hopefully shine. But every family gets a free 4x6 picture. And she'll print them out on the spot, and even, I think she'll even email them to you if you want. But basically, there's another thing for people to come downtown and, you know, friendly family atmosphere.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, so little things, right? And the same thing with the yard peeps that we've been using. I really like them, and I think people are really liking them too. So we're putting them in front of the grass lawn at Taylor and in the farmer's market. So every time there's a semi-official event, you know, we put up some yard peeps because, to be honest, they're a pretty cheap bang for the buck, and they're just fun. So for Valentine's Day, I think I say "Be Mine" and "Love You" or something like that. And so we're adding these events. You might wonder about the costs of all this. Where is this money coming from? So we are putting together a sponsorship packet for a very low entry fee, if you want to call it. We're going to do these events regardless. But if, for example, Memo for A&G Facility Rentals, he wants to sponsor one of the yard peeps. So I got him a logo printed out. We're going to stick that on the yard peep saying sponsored by or brought to you by A&G Facility Rentals or Facility Services. So doing small things like this where I just coordinate it, we pay a bill, and then we get our sponsorship fee, which will, you know, hopefully zero it out. And we want to put on lots of little things like that, like clockwork, where you just know it's going to be downtown every weekend or every event to just draw some of those extra people in. So that's pretty much it for DISI. Is that?
Yeah. What are the sponsorship levels? Do you have that, or is it just one flat level?
I'm still playing with it, but there's lots of different levels.
Oh, okay.
I tried to do, I got no response on it. May have been because it was not quite enough time, but for St. Patrick's Day, I wanted to print 500 t-shirts, but that's like $5,000. So I'm not doing that unless I get the sponsors, and no one's bid on that one so far. And it's mostly geared towards the food services and drinking services downtown. So, and I sent some, you know, I called some people and they just haven't had enough time. And now we're getting too close to get all these t-shirts printed and made in time. But yeah, different levels. So the yard peeps, for example, like $250. I'm gonna send out another message. I want to do the bunny hop this year, kind of like the trick or treating. But for $100, I'll put your logo by the business that's handing out the candy or something like that. So we'll probably buy some of this regardless, but if we have a small business or a business offset some of these costs, I can do more and I can do it better. So different levels. So larger events, maybe we can get more stuff and sponsored by, you know, XYZ, whoever wants to do it. So
it's really tailored towards the events that we have and then the need for what's available. So it's not set on, annually or anything like that.
Yeah.
Although that may be easier to get sponsors to do something like that.
yeah, maybe we can get an annual presenting sponsor of all the events. And I'm still playing with this concept, so it's very, very loose right now. But the yard peeps, you know, for like $250, that's a pretty low-lying fruit,
Yeah.
low-hanging fruit.
And then people take photos in front of the yard
Oh,
peeps
yeah.
at it.
Oh, yeah.
So you can make it a thing, like
Yeah.
every month, let's go see the new
Yep.
backdrop. and
I've got my kid in front of like 4 different ones already. So,
Great ideas, though.
yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Any other comments on that? Head off to SOBO again, right?
Status quo, our security is same as before, 64 hours a week. We do contract an extra 3 or 4 hours to the Arts Council on First Fridays, where it was just easier for us to up our contract by like 3 or 4 hours, and then just ask or send them an invoice for 3 or 4 hours and reimburse. Our contracted security rate is way cheaper in bulk than it would be for the Arts Council to do one-offs once a month. So, and then Jackie's from the Arts Council is completely on board, easy peasy. Cleaning or maintenance, we, as some of you guys know, our one employee, not Kevin, our other employee resigned the week before Christmas. So Damien. He ended up relocating. So good for him. We wish him the best, and he did great work.
Yeah, good kid.
But in the meantime, I needed to hire somebody else. So we did. We have hired somebody, Josh. Totally spaced. Cardona. And Josh is doing great so far. He's been walking around with the cart, cleaning up everything. I'm in the process of getting him his uniform jacket that's on order. But so far he's working out great. Yeah. And then one thing you may have noticed is that we've had several burned trash cans, like full-on dumpster fires in our trash corrals on Main Street. So they've been reported to the city for fixing, repair, replacement. I don't know what the ETA on that is, but we are cleaning up the inside with the melted plastic. Republic has replaced all the bins. Republic is putting on new locks, et cetera, but we are unfortunately beholden to the city for the actual repair and or replacement of these trash corrals. What we are doing for ourselves versus calling the city, because it just takes too long, a lot of the latches have been broken on these trash corrals. So I actually contacted the manufacturer, and they sent me a few latch kits for like a couple $100, and so we're retro and repairing them as we come across them, and Kevin's got all the tools and equipment to do that. So, but yeah, we just need to get those trash corrals fixed because they look really bad, burned up. So, but I'm pushing the city for a repair on that.
Is there a way for cameras to be on those? No.
It's a lot of cameras.
I'm thinking mainly from the arch.
Yeah, we can put some stuff out there. I mean, the PD has their own cameras, but they're very reactive versus proactive. But we can put a handful out there. It just takes time and money.
Did we have any thing from did we look at the police?
No, we don't have access to it.
Don't have to,
They won't give it to us.
they won't give it.
Yeah.
And they typically don't do anything with that. They don't know how to identify who the people are. There's no follow-up. So you have all this great camera feed, and in my experience,
That's why I
you
meant-
give it and then nothing happens.
I learned something new. I found one of our local transients that decided to urinate on the front door in broad daylight by the arch. And I took a picture of him, unfortunately. And the city or the PD has a website where you can report crimes. And I submitted this picture, and after about 2 days, I got a report number, and he's in the PD record system now, urinating on Bush's building. So as soon as I find more people doing that, I'm gonna use that system and report more of them.
They get an identity?
I know his name, but that's about it. I mean, I know his first name, but I don't know if it's real.
Yeah.
But the Taylor security has already banned him from the Taylor property, and he's been 86 at a handful of other places. And he's just a person that just drinks too much and thinks he needs to relieve himself in Main Street.
How nice.
Yeah, so. But that alludes to the fact that we don't have enough public bathrooms.
Right.
You know, but when I told him that there's a bathroom down the road, he said he had a small bladder and he just had to go. So, I literally, that was-
He's elderly.
he had a weak bladder. But that's it for SOBO.
Imagine if that was ours. And all of us said.
Gotta go when you gotta go.
Okay.
Got that on film, right?
Yeah.
Land use, do you have?
Yeah, I just have a quick report. We had our first meeting of the year on January 23rd. We weren't able to get anybody from the city there, but we talked about some of like kind of the ongoing priorities for the land use committee and some of the same issues, you know, are resurfacing or up for discussion, including trying to get a greater police presence downtown and some traffic enforcement issues. So that led to a bigger discussion about maybe trying to get the police chief just at one of our meetings. I know in the past we've had a police representative here just to talk about, you know, downtown issues or what the plan is or how they're monitoring and patrolling the area. So it would be nice, I think, to get somebody here from that department just to talk about what, if anything, is happening in the downtown area, or they focused on it, or we just subject to whatever other priorities they have. So it would be good to at least get a report from them, just dovetailing off of some of the things that Greg just brought up in terms of it seems like being ongoing issues. So it would be good to have a presentation from somebody from police. And then we talked about we had a discussion about converting some of these one-way streets, the two, Salinas Street and Monterey Street, to two-way, which is something that's been part of the vibrancy plan for a very long time. And so there was some thought about try to prioritize that issue and make some noise, you know, with city staff and, you know, it's all, I'm sure, time and money, right, and resources. But it sounded like there was a lot of interest in terms of starting that discussion or moving something forward there. So we'll just continue to maybe pound that drum and see if we can make some progress. I mean, part of it is regular meetings and trying to get before, you know, the mayor, and you know that's something I think, Audrey, you have some periodic meetings with the mayor and the city manager. So it's one thing that is on our radar and something that's important for the group. And then lastly, probably one of the more important items is this general plan update that's going on. And so the city in late December sent out a notice about this draft general plan, which is open for public comment and review. The comment period is ending tomorrow. And I don't think, I mean, you can comment up until the point that they adopt it, but it would be good, and I've asked Greg for our next land use committee meeting to go through the general plan, maybe print out pages and with excerpts involving the downtown area so we can really understand at least what the city is proposing in terms of policy goals and objectives for the downtown area and land use designations, which are really important. They're going to be real important drivers for future growth within our city. The general plan is essentially the constitution for how growth is going to occur in our community, and it's really, really important. And I think we zero in on that and understand policies that are going to affect our downtown area. And to the extent we can shape policies that we think are important that will, you know, try to facilitate more economic development in downtown, we should do that. We should come up with language and help advocate for things that are going to benefit our downtown, like, you know, the traffic impact fees that are a huge impediment to repurposing vacant spaces. If you move from one use that's a low traffic generating use to a higher one, then you could be paying upwards of $100,000 to $1 million in traffic impact fees, which is never going to result in a tenant coming to that space. You just have vacant spaces forever because somebody can't afford to, you know, that's a lot of cupcakes to sell, you know, if you're paying a $300,000 traffic impact fee, because now you're some retail use versus some other kind of use that didn't generate that much traffic. So Greg's going to do that, so hopefully we'll have a better idea about what these current policies are, and we can brainstorm about what else do we need. What do we need to propose some language, propose some goals, and get it in there, like waivers of traffic impact fees or something, because that's a huge impediment to what we're trying to accomplish.
I'm sorry?
When's the next meeting?
Third week.
February, third
or fourth week of February.
February, Tuesday, yeah, so it'll be, I don't think next week, but the following.
2 weeks, so it should be 26th?
Yeah, so anybody's welcome to come, but at least we'll, in advance of that meeting, you should probably a week before, try to
right?
go through the general plan, just do a word search, and let's have a discussion. Because they have land use element, they've got traffic and circulation element that could have proposals, and priorities in terms of infrastructure. So we need to see that, and then we can try to, steer that plan in a way that makes sense for us and we're accomplished. So that's it for my report, and then it would be good to get somebody from the city there if we can, give them a lot of notice and see if we can rope in Lisa. Because it's always helpful to understand from them what's going on and try to help steer some priorities in the planning department. So that's it.
Perfect. You guys have been busy. Do you want to invite the chief of police to do a presentation? I'm sure Greg could put something like that
I think
together.
it would be great. I mean, I'm happy to reach out. I don't really know anybody at the police station, but maybe Greg can send a feeler out and see if we can't get them at our next board meeting. I think it would be good. I don't think I need them at the police committee meeting, but at least have them here.
I'll ask them to do a presentation
Or send one of their community reps or
Rock
whoever.
Commander or something like that.
Yeah.
That for March or April?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Acosta?
We want the chief.
Any comments further from anybody else? And if you want to put some language together and put a meeting to add, take some steps forward on anything, I would put it together and then have a reason to meet and go from there. There's nothing regular. You guys, I am not a Steve-ish, so you guys have as much rank as I do with scheduling meetings with the city. So it isn't, and I'm happy to facilitate that. We have meetings based on certain topics that are really outside of it, of what we're doing. So if you have a specific issue that you want to tackle, then let's partner on that so it makes sense and we can move any balls forward this year would be awesome. And I'd love to align with any of the committees that has certain items they want to push forward and move that
Well,
ball
just things
forward.
like you can have a goal about increasing police presence in downtown. Once it becomes part of the general plan, then it's hard for a city to ignore that because this is a policy and you got to enforce it. And you need to be implementing these things. So that's a good suggestion. I was thinking at the end of the day that there could be a letter that comes from our association that says we reviewed the general plan, these are our comments, this is what we want to see, and we can even provide some language for it. I know there's a companion effort going on with Peter Casavan and his group, but I don't know how specifically focused they are on downtown area. Their mission might be a little bit broader for cities. So.
You want to put something specific together for that, maybe we could even have some of the council members invited to one of our meetings and share some of our areas of focus and concern with them, and then that would be a way to help push any of that forward too.
Well, I think first step let's see what's in there, if anything, relative to the downtown. It could be pretty sparse, I mean, who knows, but let's see what's in there and then we can decide what else we want to do.
When is the next meeting?
Well, the land use committee meeting will be in a couple, we usually do.
I mean, the general plan.
I don't know, this was just, they just released the draft. So I circulated to the whole land use committee as well.
Okay.
There was an email notice they sent out, and they said that they'd like public comments to be submitted by tomorrow, which was the deadline. But I'm sure they're far away, they have to do an environmental review, so they're months away.
Right.
If not, a year away from actually adopting the general plan, so I don't think we're just limited to getting comments in by tomorrow. So let's talk and figure out a plan.
Okay. Any other comments from anybody? We will adjourn our meeting. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
I had one last comment, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this.
Too late.
Sorry. March 6th, we're having the ribbon cutting for Chispa for our building right across here, so if anybody wants to join us. And it's going through Salinas Chamber of Commerce, so Colleen has it on the website, so you guys can RSVP through there. It's just a luncheon from 12 to 1, March 6th, Friday. So it's interesting that March 6th is also the art, Friday art day.
Friday.
Yeah, but we're doing it right at noon. It's just something short, simple, right in front of our building, so that'll be exciting. Oh, we're gonna do like a special recognition, so to Ms. Kaprinsky and her dad. So
Oh, cool.
that'll be exciting.
Super.
I think we're dedicating the lobby.
Oh, nice.
So I just wanted to extend that invitation. I'll send you the flyer so you can send it to the rest of the group, and then, but it is on the chamber website. Thank you.
Actually, can I just make an announcement? We had a really successful data dive into the community health needs assessment that was just completed by all of our local hospitals in coordination with their requirements for community needs assessments, basically. We had a great event at 1 Main Street, so I just want to put a plug in for great stuff happening there. Yeah, and I happen to have a copy of slides from that, if anybody's interested, and as a resource. And we've got the full study itself, and then some other links to ways to find out about what the community health needs are by different regions and populations and so forth on the United Way website hosts that. So I just wanted to share that out as a resource, and
Can we add that to our website in some way?
I can link everything.
okay.
That'd be nice.
Okay, so for those of you interested in health, okay, and I've got this if anybody's interested. I have
Thank you, I'll take some.
Yeah.